He's a movie, he's a Muni stop, he's a school, he's even got a plaque. And now Harvey Milk has a play, Dear Harvey, coming to San Francisco. And right now we're with its director, Allen Sawyer. Welcome.
Welcome, and you left out he may be an airport.
And he may be an airport. I did leave that out. I did leave that out. Now, besides being the director of a show about Harvey Milk, you actually were there on Castro Street when he was our supervisor.
I was. I worked at the Castro Theater in the 70s and early 80s, and I was the manager of the theater at the time of the assassination. And I remember waking up that day at noon, because I worked nights, and turning on the television and hearing the news. And I called Mel Novikov, the owner of the theater, and said, you know, we need to close the theater and we need to do something. And I went to the theater that day, and we took the marquee down and put up a memoriam message about George Moscone and Harvey Milk. And that marquee was in every news all across the country and all over the world.
Yeah, it's become an iconic photo.
Yeah, yeah. And I was at the Candlelight March that night, and many of the marches that Harvey led before that. So I'm the piece of living history that my actors use as reference.
So you met him?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know him. I always said that.
But he was your supervisor.
Right, right. But I always say that he worked days and I worked nights, so we didn't. But we had a nodding acquaintance, and then a lot of the people that worked with him are friends of mine, and some of them have actually come to rehearsals and met the cast. And
people like who?
Daniel Nicoletta.
Amazing photographer who documented that era.
Right, and someone plays him in the play, and he came, and he was going to just stop by and say hi, and for 90 minutes my cast asked him questions, and he was very gracious. We're going to have some of the people who are in the play come to the Sunday matinees, and we're going to do Q&As afterwards. So we're hoping that Anne Cronenberg, who's a character in the play, Cleve Jones, Tom Amiano.
Anne Cronenberg, now the head of Department of Emergency Management of the city, Cleve Jones, founder of the Names Project, AIDS Memorial Quilt.
Tom Amiano. Yeah.
Tom Amiano.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're all characters in the play, but what's interesting about this play is that it was originally developed in San Diego for a theater there, and so there are also people, San Diego politicians, people from Santa Cruz, people from all over that were touched by Harvey, inspired by Harvey, and they are also characters in the play. So for a San Francisco audience, it's great to see that it wasn't just the local people that he inspired, that people all over were inspired by him. The other thing about this play is that I've got a cast of 3 men, 3 women, and we really touch on the women, because often the women get left out of the Harvey Milk story. And so besides Anne Cronenberg, there's a lot of the women who were working on the anti-Briggs initiative, on the Anita Bryant campaigns, and we have their voices in there. And so that's nice to add that to the history.
Right. And for those who are too young to remember, the Briggs initiative was an initiative statewide to ban gay teachers in the classrooms, and it failed.
Right, right. And not only gay teachers, but anyone who talked about gay rights in schools or supported gay rights, or, I mean, you didn't have to be gay to be fired. It was a very broad-reaching, and that's really what I think started Harvey, got him first known nationally.
Do you think that Harvey Milk has become so mythologized that it's almost impossible to find out who the real Harvey was?
Well, that's why I like.
I mean, I know people call him Saint Harvey, which is kind of funny since he was Jewish.
Right, and some of the people say, well, I'm not going to come see your play if it is Saint Harvey, but this is Harvey warts and all, and there's, you know, he was cantankerous sometimes and hard to get along with sometimes, and that's all in there. So I think we tell that whole story, but also we talk about some people who met him so briefly but have gone on and done other things. So also the play goes in just to the people that he inspired. I mean, at one point there's also photographs and slides in the show, and we have a little portion of every GLBT person who was elected in last November's election, and we just show that
as progression,
sort of the legacy of Harvey Milk.
Right. Now, you have lived in San Francisco for 30 plus years and worked in and around the Castro. Is it still the same Castro?
No.
Is it better? Is it worse?
It's different. It's different.
It's diplomatic.
Yeah. It will never be what it was in the 70s, and a lot of that is rents and the little local stores and local merchants. Danny Nicoletta and I were talking about, he worked at Harvey's Camera Store, I worked at the Castro Theater, and during a weekday, you knew everyone on the street. It was like a small town. On the weekends, there were the people who came into the Castro to go to the bars, to go to the clubs, restaurants, and it was sort of like it is now, but it was like a small little village.
Do you think there is still enough of that village left to keep its identity?
Just barely, just barely, and I'm hoping the people who were there can hang on. And,
yeah. What do you think Harvey would say if he came out to the Castro now?
He wouldn't recognize it.
I mean, it looks, when you look at it, the picture looks pretty much the same.
Right, but it's now, the little local pharmacy is now a Walgreens. The little local jean shop is now a Levi's shop. So it's different.
What do you hope people will take away from Dear Harvey?
I hope that the people who remember him will maybe learn something they didn't know. But I'm finding that although I was here and he was such a part of my life, there are so many people who only know him from the movie Milk that will find out all new stories, new things about him, get a deeper understanding. You can only say so much in a play, you can only say so much in a 2-hour movie, but I think we're telling some different stories, and my cast is just loving. They're all doing the research. They're all learning about the times. Most of them, weren't even born by the time that Milk and Moscone were assassinated, and they're just diving into that history, and they're really enjoying, especially the LGBT people in the cast, learning about their own history that they never learned in school. They weren't taught anywhere.
And of course, Milk movie was wonderful, but not all the history was right.
Right.
Thank you. We've been speaking with Allen Sawyer, director of Dear Harvey, about the life and times of Harvey Milk. I'm David Perry. Thanks for watching 10%. We'll see you next week.